I was talking with someone yesterday, and they brought up the idea that no one should make over a certain amount in the world. Like it should be redistributed by the government. It should be taken away to then uplift lower communities or something to that effect. And I actually had a pretty good answer, and I wanted to share it. So I kind of have to grab and bring in a lot of things to try and make my point here, uh, because I'm not going to be making a negative argument, as in like it's moral argument, as in it can be considered immoral to it can be considered immoral to take someone's wealth because it infringes on their right to own property, basically. Those are more, and then there's other arguments. I mean, then there's like a pragmatic argument where it's like, well, if you tax people at a certain percent, they will leave the country, and then you'll not be able to tax them. So like they're so highly mobile that it doesn't matter if you tax them. So I'm making a positive argument. I watched a video, uh, actually, and it was a really good video on Elon Musk's attempts to bring the internet to the entire world. And it was an interesting video. It was really good. I'll link it. And the point that the person in the video made, Jake Tran, he made a really good point about, or not a point, but he was sort of communicating what Elon Musk was trying to communicate, which is that Elon Musk's services cost so much money, no one on the planet can really take full advantage of his services. Like, I think it's like $1 million per payload. So, what's his solution? Well, his solution is that he needs people around the world to have more money to then use his services. How does he do that? His plan is to connect the entire world to the internet using small space satellites that he will be designing himself. And by doing this, this will open up markets. This will expand the economy to such an extraordinary degree. It will produce so much wealth and value in the world, right? That it will elevate certain people to millionaire status. It will elevate a large portion of the population to millionaire status, who are able to then use his services, at which point the economy will expand more. And yeah. So that video really opens up an entirely, like, it's not unique, but it really consolidates an idea within economics which is not stated in exact terms often enough. Because for people who are socialistic and people who don't understand the concept of how like money and wealth operates, to some degree, to the most essential degree, money equals wealth. Like money equals valuable things in the economy. There's always the argument that there's bullshit. That's always there. That people manipulate the currency. That people value things that are not valuable, like luxury goods, but they're marked up and they're actually cheap. Like an Apple product is pennies to make, but it's $1,000 because um, people have like people overvalue it, right? That's the problem. It's human error in the evaluation of value. However, there is real value involved with economics and the cost of things. What's it mean to say that some country, that people living on less than $1 a day, what does that even mean? It means in our current sense of the value, their lifestyle is less than $1 a day. Like it's the amount that they eat, or the quality of the food, or where they're sourcing it from, or they something to that effect. I'm not really like consolidating that. That's just a side point, but it is very important for everyone to understand that when people are rich, when people have a lot of money, that what they're doing is growing the advancing capacity of society via their wealth. So the today's homeless, trying to say, are wealthier than other countries' homeless because they can get medical care. They can get medical care, and they might have a phone, and they might have insulating goods or like sleeping bags. These are things that the homelessness of other countries don't have. Some countries don't actually have homeless people because everyone is poor. Like you can't live off of the excess of that society because you just die. Like you'd be basically in the woods. Um, and that is very important to know because as long as the rich people are getting richer, they are inventing new things that can trickle down into like the lower stratuses of the world. Now, obviously, there's always an economic deprivation. There will always be an economic deprivation, and feasibly, we'd not want a world where there are homeless encampments next to like multinational skyscrapers of people who have 5 skyscrapers around the planet. That is a economic depravity that is unparalleled in its inequality. It's not. I don't believe that inequality is a problem as a singular isolated thing, but I think that I think there's different solutions to the problems of bringing the bottom up more. But as long as the rich exist, they are going to continue to advance. And I think that we want a world where Elon Musk's exist. And I'm not going to get into the negative argument of I'm not going to get into the negative argument of being like, well, I wouldn't expect the government to actually help people. I wouldn't expect the government to actually use the rich people's money to uplift the underclass because it's not like shown to have worked in the past, and it doesn't seem to be continuing to work. But that's just the point I wanted to make. We can get to space if everyone becomes really moneyed. Like, imagine this. Imagine this world. Everyone basically, because okay, people used to make so little money in the early 19th century, right? And then when cars came out, cars were it's like an objective value was found. Something objectively more expensive than see if money was fake, right? You wouldn't why would you make an economy where the prices of goods continually rise, right? That wouldn't make any sense. Why would you not just keep all the prices of things within the current concept of money if it was manipulable like that? Why is it that everyone who was working in Ford's motor factories had to like be given raises to afford the cars? It's because the concept of money is an emergent thing that is trying to value the costs of goods, right? And so there will be goods that are so far outside the current concepts within the economy that it will expand the notion of like what the costs of things are relatively, right? That's like that's like the car Ford's car. That is like what Elon Musk is trying to do with his satellite company thing, trying to give the entire world internet. It will expand the economy to such a degree that everyone will suddenly become millionaires, and then they can afford a different level of wealth and value within the economy. I'm trying to think. So at the end of the day, we need to not be too locked down in this concept of well, a millionaire makes too much or a billionaire makes too much, and so we have to tax them so they're not that rich. What you're doing is capping the human potential by doing that. You want to be able to say, well, I'd like everyone to be millionaires. I'd like the poorest of our country to basically have the wealth in 20 years of someone who is currently a middle class person now. That's how you bring them up. Who cares if there's a wealth disparity of like a $1 trillion? If the poorest people live a middle class lifestyle by our current standards, is that not better? In the future, they'll complain that everyone doesn't have like cancer health care, that auto cures cancer, and that should be a human right. That's what they'll complain about. We don't want to cap ourselves. And then we really get when people cap the economic growth, it really leads to like death spirals. It leads to like just really awful outcomes of people like trying to finagle the economy. Okay, I'm rambling now, but that's all I had to say.